Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And I just want to let you know that I've updated a little bit of this. When I left you, there was a little bit of a bug. There was a null that was getting thrown around, and I've eliminated that. And you see that the null is going in. To make a long story short, we just tracked it down to the definition of return value. When it's defined as null, it throws that null right next to it. But when we do this, it gives us a nice empty string instead. So now that symbol is getting passed back nicely, and I'm able to kind of brag a little bit and do a lot of these system out, but I really want to get into the crux of how I want you to make this market work. So for example, let's say that you make a market of 6,000 stocks. Already you might have a strategy as to how to accomplish that, because you're probably going to say, okay, begin your 4 and set your baseline value at something like 0. That's a good start value. And then until while your value is less than 6,000, go ahead and increment that value so that it climbs all the way up to 6,000. Now what's kind of interesting is, what if you move this stock creation statement down here? And then what if you went ahead and added these statements here, and you sort of uncommented it? Some interesting things should take root. So here's the process of creating thousands of new stocks. And if you'd like a little bit more indication as to what it's doing, naturally we can print out the I value, and we had this here. I can say and that's going to be the I value. And so I'm going to release that, and I want to prove that it marches all the way up to the 6,000th stock, now creating stock 5,999. Now if I backtrack it all the way back here, and I wonder if we can get, sometimes there's just too many lines to print. You can see that there's quite a few lines. Sorry if that's inducing a seizure. IPO, and it's now creating. So I really only have the latitude to print 379 odd stocks. There's just so many stocks happening right now. So a lot of this printing I don't really need to focus on, because I'm really creating all of those stocks. So now if I go ahead and if I don't have any system out, I'm kind of slowly eliminating a lot of my sort of proof, proof that things are working. And I'm kind of, you notice the printing takes up, clock time. And if I don't have any system out, as I press the go button, there's really nothing to display. So the concept that I want to advance is this notion of, how do I store all of these stocks? Shouldn't there be a container? What should my market be after all? And so I'm openly meditating on, and I usually like to put my comments over here in the margins. What shape should the market take? And more specifically, what data structure should house all my new stocks? And this notion of data structure is something that you guys are really learning a lot about, because the data structure is really just a class that has the ability to capture, hold, and manage strings, integers, doubles, floats, characters. That's all really programming really is. It's just the design of different data structures to hold different types of data. So I sort of made this market object here, and we haven't done much with it. And we were kind of flirting with this market class, and we were sort of talking about that a little while ago. So we were sort of saying, if we make a market called the market, which is a new market. And it doesn't appear that we have the constructor there. So right now we have a market that accepts an integer. So why don't we just make a market that creates 6, 1, 2, 3 stocks. And so we go over here, we're kind of like, well, now it looks like we have kind of the ability to take the size of the market, for example 6,000, and to kind of create 6,000 stocks. So we sort of gave a prelude to that a few days ago where we said, well, we're going to do something like this. So why don't we just kind of wipe this out, because we have that inside of our market right now. And why don't we just go ahead and call the market and see what it does. So now a lot of this test that we have been doing is now empty. And the code that we're going to test is in the market class. So let's go ahead and, so now that there's a lot happening here. So our industry of the stock is education, So the thing that we could update is the industry of the stock. How about the symbol? For this symbol, and then maybe we'll work on a little of the printing. And because we have that new value symbol that's getting computed, now we're able to compute, the full symbol name. Yeah, with a few variations, some minor, there's some duplicates no doubt in here. There's not very many variations on that possible, but we're able to compute a pretty good stock price, an IPO quantity. They're belonging to various industries, like they're fishing industry stocks. That's great. Like, how do you guys think you get fish sticks? Do you think they're just invented?
They're caught.
They just come out of nowhere?
In the ocean.
There are people who have to fish for those fish sticks. Okay, hopefully. Okay, so no making fun of my fishing stocks. Baba is a world-class fishing stock, and so is Bab. And the rest are just education stocks. So you can see what I think about when I'm not here, fishing and education. So now you're able to create a pretty interesting market with some economic diversity. Now, some things that you guys need to diversify is the very industry. You need to create lots of different industries. There should be more than just 3 industries right there. And that also you should be able to create stock prices that are better than just A and B, right? So there's some interesting variations. But the last concept that I want to advance here, and I'm going to go over to the market, and I hope this is not too big a stretch of your imagination. Really, the class works the same way as the main, except that the class has a little bit of versatility. The class is where all the work gets done, when you think about it. Always design classes that provide a service. That the class, it provides a very limited series of functions and data. And then your life will get good because you will understand what you are creating. You'll understand what you're setting up. So your architectural intelligence begins with this. Now, I want to do something here that is new, and I want to deal with a piece of data called an array list of type stock. Which is a new array list of type stock, and then we want to initialize that new list. Now the array list is a way of holding lots and lots of data. It holds on to data very efficiently. And so I'm going to import the array list utility from Java's library. Now what's interesting about this, and I'm going to place this right here, is the array list has a very specific property where market is going to be my array list. And if I wanted to add a new stock to that list, I can. And naturally it's going to say, fine, you want to add your stock called L? That's fine. And what's interesting about that and maybe we could turn off some of this right now and just kind of, we can actually store all the stocks that we create inside of the market right here that belongs to this market.